Good morning. I wanted to come to you and share kind of an update on some of the most common questions I'm getting about being a commercial loan broker. I've had a couple of conversations with folks lately, and it seems like I keep getting the same consistent questions. I know I've addressed them in the course for folks that have bought that. I've also addressed them in some of my previous videos, but I'm going to resurface them here so that we can get multiple of them out of the way at the same time. So the first one I want to talk about is whether or not you should incorporate. And this is not just for folks who are looking to be a commercial loan broker. If you follow my channel and you are opening any type of business, this is my personal advice. Now, I have to give you the caveat. This is not a legal opinion. This is not a tax opinion. This is my personal opinion and stance on how I go about or whether or not I incorporate a business right away. And so just to be clear, when I say incorporate, I mean forming an LLC, forming a C Corp, all these other legal entities outside of just doing business as a sole proprietorship. So if you don't know what that is, let's talk about that for a second. So you can be in business just using your social security number in the United States as what's called a sole proprietorship. It basically just means that you are the business. There's no legal entity. There's no separate entity. It's just you. So when you file a tax return, for example, as a sole proprietorship, you'll have what's called a Schedule C, and you just use your social security number, and sometimes you can have an EIN. That's a sole proprietorship. When you legally form a company, a legal entity, you're forming an LLC and things like that. And if you're not careful, all over the internet, Instagram, TikTok, all these other places, there's all these supposed gurus who are promoting, have this complex structure of 5 different LLCs, and this way I protect myself and I don't pay any taxes and all that jazz. That could be true, but what people don't understand is when you have an entity, even just one, not 5 or 6 that you're using in some complex strategy, you're going to have costs to doing that. So first of all, you're going to have to spend money to incorporate, whether you do that through LegalZoom or you pay an attorney to do it for you. You're going to have expenses to incorporate your business. That's just one type of expense. Then you're going to have to pay someone if you're not qualified to do it yourself. You'll have to pay someone to do a tax return for you. So now you have that expense. In some states, like in my state, we have a franchise and excise tax. That's another fee. So having a legal entity, other than just doing business in your own name, comes with lots of different expenses and time and energy in managing that thing. And so my personal take on whether or not you should form a legal business right away, again, whether you're a commercial loan broker or starting some other type of business, excuse me, is don't do it until you've got significant amounts of revenue coming in. Now, my personal accountant agrees with this. And so we were talking about this a while back, and her stance was until you're making at least $30,000 to $50,000, don't bother incorporating because of the additional costs that come with it. So now the next thing you're going to think or say out loud or in your mind to in response to what I'm telling you is, well, what about liability? How am I protecting myself if I don't have a different company? That can be handled in a totally different way. You talk to a qualified insurance professional. I actually am one, but talk to another one of your own that you know. You can still protect yourself even if you're a sole proprietorship. You can get errors and omissions insurance. You could get general liability insurance. I carry both of them for one of my businesses and for me. And you can get those just to protect you as a sole proprietorship. So the company I use for almost all my insurance is a company called Hiscox. I have no affiliation. I don't get paid to say that, nothing. It's just a company I've used in the past. I find them inexpensive and good to work with. It's hiscox.com. And you can get policies to protect yourself even as a sole proprietorship. So don't incorporate right away just because you think it's going to save you money. It can. There's deductions you can get. Don't do all those things right away, but make sure you think about waiting until there's significant income to actually go ahead and file that type of thing. Okay, so that's the first thing. That's one of the most common questions I'm getting. The next question I'm getting is another legal matter, is people asking for a commercial loan broker business if they have to have a license. Do I have to have a license in my state? Now, in the course, I talk about this. Again, I've done a video on this in the past. I'm not going to give you an opinion here on your specific state. Here's why. I can't know the rules of all 50 states about whether or not you have to have a specific license to originate commercial loans in your area. So this is something you're going to need to decide and research on your own. What I would advise you to do is call your local NMLS office. That's a specific mortgage license. And usually in a state where they require you to have a license, usually, not always, but usually in a state where they require you to have a license to do commercial loans, you have to have your NMLS license, similar to a person who does a residential mortgage. So I would check into that and see if that's a requirement. And again, I just call your local office. If you can't find that office, you might be able to call your local municipality and ask them. So I have my local municipality here. I could call and ask them if I was unsure. What I will tell you is there are some states that do not require a license at all. And then also there are some sort of discussions about definitions about whether you're being an originator or whether or not you're just referring business over to someone, and that changes whether or not you'll have to have a license. But this is something you need to check into yourself. Nothing I can answer specifically for you. I can just point you in directions. Next question I want to talk about is what's the other more common ones that I get? So where should I focus early on as a commercial loan broker? And there's two different ways that you can niche down and focus. So one is focus on a specific industry that you want to target. And in that instance, I encourage people to think about an industry where they already have a base understanding of how that industry works. So just as an example, let's pretend you're a dentist and you just randomly decide you want to start a commercial loan broker office. Well, being a dentist or having been around dentists, you understand how their model works. You know the types of capital that they might need. They might need equipment. You might know those things. Focus on industries where you have existing experience. One of the students I had experience with long haul trucking, and so he focused on trying to help businesses get the trucks that they need to do more business. So from an industry perspective, focus on one you know really, really well, or one you have good context in. So using the dentist example, let's say that maybe you know lots of dentists. That could be a good place for you to focus. Go to them and tell them you've started a business helping arrange for capital and you love to help them. Another way you can focus early on is focus on specific types of loans. Now, my advice there is don't do that very early on, because then you're limiting your opportunities. I would take not any opportunity, but I would take most opportunities regardless of the loan type as they came to me early in your business, whether it's merchant cash advances, lines of credit, equipment loans, real estate loans. And that last one is what a lot of people that I talk to want to focus on. They want to focus on just real estate loans. There's actually two places I see people like to focus. One is on real estate loans, and the other is being a broker specifically for SBA, Small Business Administration loans. So I say early on, don't restrict yourself so much, because you're going to limit how many opportunities you have. But later in your business, it's not a bad idea to focus. And the reason is because when you focus on a specific loan type, you become very good at that loan type. So maybe you do go into SBA loans and you know exactly how they work and you know exactly who to place them with, and those types of things. That can be a good place to focus. A lot of people like to focus on real estate loans because they're typically larger and therefore the payday is larger. But the thing to remember is that real estate loans take a lot longer to close, and most other brokers are focusing on real estate loans for those exact reasons. So you may be in there with a lot of competition. So just think that through. Really, these are business model decisions that you have to make. I would encourage you to early on think about not restricting yourself as it relates to types of loans, but I would say focus on specific industries that you have past experience in. That can help you get started a lot sooner. Anyways, I hope those things help. That's kind of the most common things that I'm seeing out there. Let me know if I can help you with something else. All right, have a good day.